Life is sweet. Let it sweep you off your feet.
Hi, this is Ali and Find Your Joy, and I'm really excited because today we have back with us Stuart Elliott, and Stuart is the guy that's breaking through BS barriers. He's helping people to look at their stuff and change their lives, and he is one heck of a storyteller. Welcome back, Stuart.
Well, it's an honor to be back, and it was great fun the first one. So let's see what fun we can have now.
Yes, right. See what shenanigans we can get up to this time.
Yeah.
Oh, but you know what? I was thinking that maybe if we could start with, I would love to hear a bit about some of the work that you do with people. So I know that you are certified Ericksonian, excuse me, conversational hypnotherapist, NLP trained. With what is that? That's Grinder, John Grinder. And you do some amazing things that you do, and part of what you do with those skills, with all those tools in your tool belt, is that you help people to break through the BS barriers. And no, I know what I think that means, but what does that mean for you when you say help someone to break through their BS?
If you know, the best way to put it is if you look back into childhood or children, they're born with basically endless possibility. And around 10 years old, 10 years old, 10 months old, 11 months old, they suddenly decide, I can walk. There's no question about it. They suddenly decide. So they find a way to do it. It's not easy. Obviously, it's a very difficult thing. They've got to learn balance and coordination and everything, but they do it. And yet, as we get older and supposedly more wiser, we move, or we're helped to move, into this world of limited possibility. And all the BS barriers that are put on us. I mean, if you think of the education systems around the world, they're focused on mistakes. They're not focused on helping you grow. They're focused on pointing out your mistakes, your deficiencies. And there's so many ways that these are placed on us as we get older and older, and people forget all the possibilities they've got. And that's what I say, they've trapped that type inside them. So they move into then what we call a comfort zone. And you can call it what you want, but it's just that world that you create for yourself where you understand. It doesn't mean you're comfortable in your life. It means you understand. I mean, a good example of it, and it's not a very pretty one, but abusive relationships.
Right. People
stay in them for a long, long time because they understand how to navigate all the challenges that are presented there. But outside, they've got no idea how they could navigate because it's that unknown again.
Right.
But they've got this comfort zone, shall we say. So if they're trapped in that, where's the potential? Where's the possibility in life?
That's the saying, better the devil that you know.
Yeah. It's given many labels. I mean, one of my mentors called it bucket land. So bucket land. Yeah, you're living in this little bucket. That's your world.
Land.
Yeah. And he said, we have to help them expand that into bathtub land. And then we could go more and more and more. So, it's just a different way. It's just a graphical view of what it is. But that's where most people are living. And we forget the possibilities. You think of the language people use to themselves. I can't do that. I don't know how. All the negative stuff, which they've been conditioned into believing or been taught. And that also limits them.
Right.
So the whole thing is to help them to recognize that and help them gently or guide them gently into that expansion, because you can't just open the doors and throw somebody outside. It's too damn cold. It's too scary.
It's like you here.
It's like when I was living in the UK, we don't get a lot of snow. But this one morning we had loads of snow. And at that time, I'm not a big cat person, but we had a little kitten. And this kitten, we got it in August, and it's now, January or February, and it's never seen snow before. And it's knocking on the door, wanting to go outside one morning. So I open the door, and it's so happy, and it runs to the door, and it stops dead. And it just looks, the whole place was white. And then it's
No
like, what the
thanks.
heck's this? And his little foot going like this. And he didn't want to go outside because it was too unknown. What's going to happen there?
Yes.
And
Oh,
eventually, through play, I got it to go out. I made a snowball and threw it, and it chased it and disappeared underneath about 6 or 8 inches of snow. And then it started to get comfortable and started having a whale of a time. In fact, I threw one snowball and part of the garden dropped down about 2-3 feet. And it chased the snowball, but the snowball had gone over the drop and it just went straight through this big layer of snow. There's a little cutout of this kitten.
yes.
And then
Oh my
eventually
God.
it comes back up again. It's like up these steps and it's very sheepish. What the heck happened there? But, once it had got used to that new world, it was so happy. It was just having a whale of a time. But beforehand, it was like the unknown
Yes.
and stopped dead. And that's what keeps us in. If I hadn't have thrown the snowball out or I hadn't have wanted to go to the toilet, it would never have ventured outside.
Right. And it's just funny. I'm thinking about, I've just started this new program. It's around brain injury recovery. But the very first thing they talk about is you're not going to have growth unless you're going to be okay with being really uncomfortable, because it's going to be uncomfortable. Sounds are not going to suddenly be okay.
Yeah.
Light is
No.
not suddenly going to be okay. Your energy levels are not suddenly going to be okay. We are going to work at building that for you. And it's going to be unpleasant. And that's exactly what you're talking about. And I'm like, okay, I'm in, I'll do that. I'm not saying I'll like it the whole time, but it's exactly what you're talking about. I've got to be that little kitten and run out into the snow, get my little wet paws, a little bit cold, and then go, you know what? It's kind of fun now that I'm out here.
Yeah, there's an interesting story. I was on a course in South Africa when I was living there, and it was called The Next Evolutionary Step. And it was about awakening and growth and that. And it was 2 weekends with a week in between. And we were warned that, because we started this journey of waking ourselves, we might have more sensitive senses, shall we say.
Right.
Things like that. And when we came back the second week, there was one of the gentlemen on the course. We were discussing what happened. He said he went to the hairdressers to get his hair cut. And he had to run out because the noise of them combing his hair and everything else was so vivid. It was so scary.
Yes. Well, that's true. When you're in a
exactly
retreat.
what you're saying. Yeah.
When you're in a very closed little environment and a retreat, or if you've pulled back from society because you're trying to unscramble your head or whatever, the only way out is through it. It's desensitization.
Yeah.
And I don't know what will be. I don't know yet, but I just know that I have to try. I have to do the steps, not just try. Yoda says try, try, just do. So, to do this thing, exactly what it's just funny because I just listened to, it's a online program, and I just listened to that tape today that said, be prepared. It's going to be really uncomfortable.
Yeah, just accept it and go with it because it's part of that journey. And that is the journey of life. I mean, again, going back to children, they have lots of challenges. I mean, just think of teenagers, that all the challenges is part of their journey, but it's not easy, is it?
Right.
And if it was easy, everybody would do it. It'd be boring. We'd have nothing to talk about.
That's right. We'd just be sitting here. Everything's wonderful. Yep, everything's easy and wonderful. That's just how it goes. Life is just, and it's not. There's things that come up and they can be challenging. And I can remember being at a drum circle, and the woman came by with a very large drum and started to play it over each of us. And when it got to me, my brain started to vibrate, and I can remember sitting there thinking it was so uncomfortable. I thought, am I going to get a headache? I started all the what if.
Yeah.
And then I just said to myself, okay, so you're not going to die. So, this is not a life-threatening event, right? Someone is playing a drum by your head. You're not going, so just wait. I really had to talk to myself because I
Yeah.
wanted to take off. It was uncomfortable.
Mhm.
The vibrations in my head were physically uncomfortable. So I sat there, and it didn't get better for a while. It got worse and worse and worse. And then all of a sudden, it was like a crescendo or some crescendo, it was like it came out, it was like explosive and uncomfortable and awful. And then it was just beautiful and
Yeah.
lovely and calming. And I
Mhm.
was so glad that I didn't retreat from it.
Mhm.
Because I could, that's in me to do. It's in me
Yeah.
to do. I don't like this. I'm out of here.
It's in most people.
Yeah.
And then,
It's,
again, it goes back to that comfort zone, doesn't it? That we create this feeling of security,
yes.
and anything that threatens that is, we want to run back into it and hide, close the door, like the cat, close the door from the snow type of thing.
That's right. Oh, that little fluffy kitty probably had such a good
Yeah,
time that day. So
yeah,
I'm
because it's
curious.
opened his world up.
It did. I'm looking forward to that myself too. I'm gonna visualize. I'm really going to do that
Mm.
if there are moments where I feel like it's feeling like more than I want to do, more discomfort than I'm happy with. I am going to recollect the kitty, and I'm gonna.
Well, not only the kitty, but reckon that story you just told me about the drum circle,
Yes.
because that was something very special.
Mm-hmm. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah.
There's way more
So
to it, but we don't. We'd be here all day if
no,
we
but
told you
but
that.
but you're on that
Yes.
journey, you're on a similar journey now. So you
Yes.
can think of the kitty, and then you can move into the drum circle, and then you can see how that growth and that beautiful expansiveness can happen. But there
Yeah.
has to be that little bit of discomfort. I mean, it's like the guy climbing Mount Everest. He gets to the top and he's so happy, but he's had to go through a lot of trauma and challenges to get there. It
Right.
never stopped him.
No. It stopped a whole
That
bunch
was
of
part
people
of the
though.
journey. Oh
Yeah, I was
yeah,
gonna
but
say
that's part of the journey because they're not ready for it.
that's right. When you think of all the people that didn't make it to the top,
Yeah.
and we get
guess
to
what?
choose.
I'm one of them. I'm not interested.
Well, I didn't even
I've
make
got
it to the
other ways.
bottom.
Yeah, I've got other ways to get excited.
Yes, that's right. It's not my thing either, but I get it's exactly it. There are so many people who we choose to not, whatever our mountain is, whatever our Everest is,
Yeah.
whatever that is, that we get to the bottom. There's some of us get to the bottom, we're really excited, we get about 10 paces up or 10 feet or 10 yards or a quarter of the way or whatever it is. And then it's just when it starts to really dig in and our feet start to hurt and whatever that it's going on, it can feel like I don't like to be uncomfortable. And
Yeah, and
I'm not going
as
to do
long as
this
we're not
anymore.
running away back into our comfort zone, as long
Yeah.
as we say, okay, look, I've given it a try. I recognize that pathway is not for me, but there are other ways where I can get a similar sense of achievement. And I will go for those because we're not all meant to be mountaineers. I mean, for instance, I had the most beautiful experience being charged by a wild African buffalo, a raging African buffalo. And that was the most beautiful experience in my life. I've never been more alive. I wasn't scared.
You weren't afraid.
No.
A water buffalo.
Not consciously.
No. It was running towards you, like
it was charging us. It was dead serious. The bushes were ripped apart. This massive beast came flat out towards us. The ranger I was with, he dropped to the ground and he got his rifle up. He was looking how he could shoot it. And I was next to him, and everybody else in that small party who were on this walking safari, they scattered. They were terrified, but I just dropped with the ranger. And then we became aware of this incredible wall of noise. Where's it coming from? It's us. It's us. We generated it. I mean, if you go to an AC/DC concert or any other big rock concert, that's nothing compared to what we managed to put out at that moment.
Were you screaming?
I don't know what we were doing. We were making something. We were doing something. I have no idea. But we did. And it stopped the buffalo dead in his tracks because we dropped to the ground, we disappeared. Everyone else was scattered. And then he's hit by this big wall of noise. He said, No, there's some voodoo going on. And he was only 20 feet away from us or so. And he
My
spun
gosh.
round and then disappeared back into the bushes. And you know what was the most prominent thing on my mind was I was so grateful that we didn't have to shoot it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was such a beautiful thing. And I wasn't scared. Obviously, the adrenaline kicked in and everything else. And that's how we both created. But there was no sensation of fear. And I felt so alive. I could see an ant walking at 100 paces. Everything, my sense of sight, hearing, everything was just, I was just, and you know, you can't put it into words. Now, I don't want to climb Everest, but I'm happy in that situation.
Yes.
So
Yes.
we all have that thing. And, you know, what we have to do is recognize that and say, okay, it's not for me. I'm not running away. It's not for me. It's not the challenge I'm ready to meet.
Right.
But there are other challenges which excite me. I mean, I don't suppose you would be too happy being charged by the buffalo. Many people wouldn't.
I can say that it's not on my it's not on my list of things that I would like
Yeah.
to do.
I mean, when I told this story just recently on a different podcast, the lady I was talking to, she said, I don't know where to go from here. I'm just stunned. She was in disbelief that
But
someone
I
could
think there was
actually enjoy
wisdom.
that.
You followed the see. I don't know that this is fact because I haven't been in the situation. I would like to think I would have followed whatever the ranger did because I would think that that person has more experience than me, and I would hope that I would have fallen down onto the ground with him. Running would seem like the last thing I would want to do. That's just me because I think it can
Yeah.
run faster than me. It will catch me.
Well, they can, and they are known to be very, very. You know, in the old days of the big game hunters, they were the most challenging animal to hunt, and they you know, because they can be very vindictive and they will hide and come and attack you and do all sorts of things like that. And they
Oh,
don't necessarily use the horns, and those are big enough. African buffalo boss is very, very big, but they've also got spiky growths on the back of their feet, and they stomp on people. They go out of the way. They can be very vindictive. But then again, if someone's hunting me for sport, I think I could get vindictive as well.
I think I could
So
be
I can't blame
vindictive.
them.
Yeah, that's right. If the, I think it's just they just have good boundaries.
Yeah. So you know, I don't blame them for that whatsoever.
No,
But
not even the tiniest.
yeah.
Oh my gosh. So
But it's that recognition that there are things that we are comfortable with and we can do.
yeah. Yes.
And the other things which are not suited for us. We're not all marathon runners. We're not all this. We're not all that. But we've got
Yes.
to recognize our strengths
Yeah, I
and
like
accept
that.
that there are other people who are better at different things and see how we can borrow for them or help or work together, collaborate, so we can become a better whole, if you like.
Right. I like that because I wasn't really thinking that I wanted to be a mountain climber, but I get what you're saying is that sometimes we can see what someone else has done and feel like that's the thing that we need to do. And
Yeah.
you're reminding us that's the last thing we need to be doing. We need to find what's in us. What's
Yeah.
what's
Who
our
are we
hidden treasure
suited for?
or desire or whatever that is, whatever the thing is. Find out what ours is and don't chase someone else's.
No, I mean, if you think it's become over the last 5 years quite a rage in different parts of the world where they have these bridges across massive gorges with glass bottoms on, or they have a tower very, very, very high with a glass thing, observation point, and you know, they're hundreds of feet up. And people go out there, and some people are walking around casually. But there was a video I saw recently with some people, and they were being dragged on by their friends or family, and you could see that they were almost dead. They were paralyzed with fear. Why the heck would you try and do something like that to somebody? It's not their game. I mean, I wouldn't go on one.
No, I
And I
wouldn't
try
really
and
have an
make somebody
interest
else. It doesn't bother me. I mean, what the heck? You know what? Why do I need to stand on something like that? I'll go up in a helicopter. Yeah, I'll go up in a small plane. No problem. But don't put me on that glass bottom bridge or whatever. There's no way I'm going to go across that because it's not me.
Yes.
And that's that honesty you've got to have with yourself. I can do things that other people can't do. You can do things that other people can't do. We all can. So why should we try and become somebody else?
Yeah.
Why don't we just understand us and accept ourselves and see that beauty and that greatness that's within us and become that best version of us that we can be?
Mm. Yeah, because exactly, because if we're busy running around trying to be all these other things and miss whatever beautiful thing was in us, then
Yeah, the
it's,
question is, what are we running from by
yes,
doing this chasing?
yeah, yes, that's right. Because we're probably not running to it if it's gone the wrong way. I do want to ask you. So, certified conversational hypnotherapist. What is that exactly?
Well, I mean, hypnotherapy is just a tool for you know, for instance, and
Right,
there's two main ways. There's the clinical type formal hypnosis,
right.
and then there's just having a conversation, and you can then follow the language patterns and things like that and help people deepen the trances that they're already going into.
Oh, okay.
And some people, they need the formal side. I mean, there's a lot of stories and incidences where people have had a beautiful conversation. And if we go back to one of the biggest influences in modern day hypnotherapy, a gentleman named Milton H. Erickson. He was alive until 83. So, he basically brought the whole thing to modern day understanding. And he was a phenomenal person. We haven't got time to discuss him here, but he would recognize that the work's done. We've done the change work that's necessary in this conversation we've had. However, this person still needs the formal hypnotism. So then he would get out the traditional pocket watch or whatever,
Right,
and now
right.
I'm going to hypnotize you and everything will be changed type of thing. Because the person in his mind wouldn't accept the change unless he's had that
As
evidence.
they need, okay.
So there are some people who need that. There are some people who work only in that model. But if you think of a story, that really is hypnotizing, isn't it?
Right, right.
It's taking on that journey in yourself, and you're making your connections to whatever the storyline is. So if you become a little bit more proficient in the art of vagueness, you're not being specific. You let people fill it in. And if you think of all the wonderful stories, they don't tell you. They just put the scene there and you pick up on it. And you create the world for yourself. And this is why when you read a good book like that and they make a film of it, that didn't happen in the book. This didn't happen. That's wrong. It didn't look like this. Because someone else has created that. Whereas
Right.
the
They
writer
was there,
allowed
right?
you to create it yourself.
Oh, yes, that's interesting.
So by using that philosophy, you can then help people to guide them and fix challenges without them realizing that sometimes that what the challenge was, and get through that BS that was keeping them back. You don't need to regurgitate.
Right. Just leaving it the space open so that they
Yeah.
can fill that in.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
And they don't have to share with you.
No,
They
no.
can give you a symbol, or they can
Yes.
just sit there. I mean, there's a wonderful example, again, going back to Milton H. Harrison. He had a client phone him and say, I want you to be my therapist. He said, okay, fine. He said, but I can't see you, she said. I can't talk to anybody about what my challenge is, but what I want to do is I'm going to come to your house about 10, 11 o'clock at night time and sit on your driveway in my car, and I'll sit there and work through the problem. He said, okay. So she did this a few times, and then he got a phone call and said, okay, I fixed the problem. How much do I owe you?
No
So
discussion.
his presence, no, he didn't even say hello to her.
Mhm.
She drove up, she just did. His physical presence and her understanding of that physical presence
Right.
allowed her to go
Yes.
inside and fix everything that needed to be fixed.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me.
And that's it's a natural thing. It's just a natural thing. So when we talk about conversational hypnotherapy, that's what it is. We're having a talk, we're having a good conversation. You're going somewhere, I'm going somewhere, both going into a type of trance. And we're just recognizing and just helping to guide the person when we see the signs that they're making a shift. What's going on now? What are you thinking now?
Right.
Because that's what you're thinking. You're doing something now. So I can just ask you, and then you go off and you continue on that way. What's
and when
making
you say
sense?
that, it makes sense to me. It's like how a conversation goes back and forth, because
Yeah,
one person says something and then it stirs something in our mind, and
yeah,
then the other person replies. That's how a conversation happens.
yeah,
But that makes sense, because you said about the kitty and then I remembered the drum.
yeah, yeah,
I think that's, if I'm getting what you're saying, that's
yeah. And
exactly how it works.
I, as the hypnotherapist, would say, start directing it gently
Right.
through those stories, through those things, to help you to make that change that you're looking for.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, I really like that.
So
And
it's so non-invasive and so friendly.
yes, and it invites the person to create their own healing, or
Yeah,
whatever it is, because
we
they are
are the
doing it.
people. We are the healer. Yeah, we are the
Yes,
healer.
we
Each
are.
individual is their own healer. No one else can heal them.
No.
If you take the traditional medical model, and you know someone's sick and they say, I have to go to the doctor, I'm sick, and they have this fixation in their mind that they're sick, and they go to the doctor and the doctor said there's nothing wrong with you, and then they're better.
Right.
They've made that change, but it's because of their mindset, their thinking. They
Right.
made themselves sick because of their thinking and amplified it. And then they went to the doctor and he gave them permission to undo all that nonsense.
Right. Because they Googled something when they shouldn't have.
Yeah, or something, you know, we don't know
Something came into their mind, and it was just,
Yeah.
and so when you do the
Um,
breaking the BS, sorry, did I cut you off?
I was just going to say, you know, someone may be bitten by a mosquito. Oh, I'm going to get malaria. And they go into this whole pseudo
Right.
illness because they
Right.
believe that.
Right.
But when they're told, no, there's nothing wrong, okay, it's gone.
Yes, because because adrenaline and imagination and all the things that happen
Creates
when
it,
we
yeah.
think something's wrong.
Or creates the symptoms.
Yes.
not creates the illness, creates the symptoms.
Yes.
So we experience it as if we are, but we're not.
We have this one thing happens, and then whoosh,
Yeah.
we make this whole other, well, you know what, if someone, you know what it's like if you're driving down the road and someone cuts you off suddenly, you slam on the brakes, it's a close call, nothing happened, but the adrenaline, like everything, the chemistry, the electricity that's running through the body is just impressive. We are an impressive unit. Like what happens with us. And so that makes sense when something that feels like something might be off. And that's a beautiful example that you gave, the bite of the mosquito, because that somebody could get malaria. And
people do,
but
it
not
doesn't mean
everybody
everybody
does.
Yeah.
And I can imagine that, starting to think, oh, I might have it. How would I know if I have it? Oh, this would happen. Oh, that's what I feel like is happening to me.
Yeah.
And then all those symptoms go away. Once you oh man, yeah, we're interesting units, that's for sure.
Very, very interesting people, aren't we?
So and so when you work with people around the breaking the BS barrier, is this all just part of is this all part of what you might do with a person?
Yeah, it's that conversation.
Right.
And the thing with the conversation, it's got to be a deep conversation. I've got to really hear the person. And we're not necessarily talking about the BS, we're just having that conversation, and they're sharing things, and I'm able to pick up energetically, you know, body language wise, everything else, not just by the auditory route, but I can really understand what they're saying. And something, I mean, I'll give you a great example of that. This was, I was offering some happiness calls to people in LinkedIn, and one woman phoned me up, and she's middle-aged, and she started, you know, telling how everything was falling apart. She'd lost her passion for her work. She's a trainer, and you know, she used to do a lot of presenting, but she's just recently divorced from her husband. Her menopause is kicking in. Her physical body's changing because of the menopause, and then to cap it, she broke her foot in half. And that was her language. She broke her foot in half. So I'm not quite sure there, but you know, the thing is, okay, I've got the picture. I don't need to go down that road anymore. We don't want to, because we're experts at dwelling in the negativity. I've got to go
Yes.
somewhere else. So I said, okay, well, let's just go back in time before all this nonsense happened and see about, you know, a wonderful incident, you know, something that made you so happy. And then she thought a while. She came up with an incident at work when she was giving a presentation or doing a course or something like that, and she was excited about it, but it wasn't the real thing. I could feel that. So I said nothing. And then a little bit later, she said, no, that's not the one I need. She recognized it. I said, okay, fine, let's go back a bit further. And then she went back, and then all of a sudden her eyes lit up, her face changed. So I, you know, I asked her to tell me more. No, I was having a forbidden pillow fight when I was about 7 years old. And that word forbidden, that was it. That was the key. So I said, a forbidden pillow fight? And then gave her some space. Tell me more. And then she's back there, totally back there. You could see the whole change. She's now fighting, you know, having this pillow fight with a brother, and her parents were upset about it. You're supposed to be sleeping type of thing. So this is the forbiddenness. But it was that memory just became alive. So I just amplified that energy she had. And then we anchored it and brought her back to the present moment. And you told her, you know, she's got this resource, and she was so happy she was changing. But I said, you've got this resource. You can use it anytime. And she was a changed person. And then I said, here's an interesting thing. I said, you know, why not take a metaphorical pillow with you wherever you go in the future? And then any problems that come along, you can just go thwack and knock it away. And she loved it. She loved it.
It's perfect. It's forbidden.
So she
and
had
hidden.
this tool that she had. And then I left her with a parting thought. I said, and by the way, so you don't need to be Rudolph Nureyev dancing on the stage. You know, you can take it a bit more sedately if you want to. You can still do all your things, but you don't have to be like Rudolph Nureyev.
Yes.
And she liked that as well. So she
Yeah.
went away 15 minutes, a totally changed person.
We're powerful.
Yeah, we are.
Powerful beings.
We just need to be reconnected.
Yes,
to
reconnected
that power.
with that power.
I mean, you know, if we talk about people generally and you ask them, what's good about you? After 5, 10, 15, they start slowing down. If you say, okay, tell me some bad things about you, they can't stop.
Right.
We focus on that side. We don't focus on the goodness. So I'm helping you to get focused on the goodness and go back in time in your mind, if you like, of all the possibilities you were born with, and reconnect to those. And I like to do that through conversations. And sometimes some people might need some formal help. Yes, I mean, we have to read the people. We have to understand who it is. And not everybody's ready to go on that journey. So we have to recognize that as well. But when you're ready and you get a guide who could take you there without regurgitating all the nonsense, just take you there and connect you to, all these possibilities that lie within you, mostly dormant. They've been conditioned out of you through society, through this, through that. And quite often, it's well-meaning conditioning. For instance, I don't know whether you can connect back to it, that you may have seen in other people. A young child cries for no reason, just cries. One of the first things that's said to it is, what is wrong with you? And you repeat that many, many times over the course of the childhood. There's a message there that the child goes away with. There's something wrong with me. And we did it out of concern, but we didn't realize how that language was actually programming a negative pattern, thought pattern in them. Now, if you're wiser and you understand that, you say, okay, what's making you cry, or something like that. Now we've redirected the attention to something external. There's nothing wrong with me. Something happened. But we're not taught these things. We're not taught how language can have such a big impact on us.
Yes.
Another example of it is a common refrain that we hear sometimes, networking calls or shops, or can I help you? Or even, how can I help you? Can I do something is a question of doubt. It's a statement of doubt. I'm not sure whether I can. And we focus on that rather than the how. So really what you're saying is, I'm not sure whether I can help you. Now, if you just switch that can and I around,
Yes.
and say, tell me how I can help you.
Yes.
I can is a presupposition of certainty. I can help you. I know I can. I just need to know how. Subtle, it's these subtleties of language we
I
pick
know
up on
I
the
I
unconscious.
believe it with all my heart. I do that.
Yeah.
It's our language. I have a really very, very good friend who taught me this, and I feel blessed that he did. But he
Wow.
was an NLP practitioner and things, and he taught me about 25 years. Every word matters. Every word matters. And I've said this before, but I say so many words. That's okay. They all matter. Make sure that they all matter. Make sure that all of them are communicating exactly what it is that needs to be communicated, and exactly what I love that. How
I can help you.
how I
Tell me how I can help
tell
you.
me how I can help you. Thank you. Sorry, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah,
That's
because
not
it's
that's
such an ingrained pattern. It's something we've practiced.
yes.
And here's the thing. What we do is we become aware of it. And then we say, thank you.
Yes.
We just accept it. No judgment. Thank you. Now I can change it and make it into something which I meant to say, really, because it is an ingrained habit. It's something we pick and we practice forever.
Yes.
And it's that acceptance, that awareness and acceptance without judgment, which is so important, because many people, you tell that something like that to, then they go, oh, no, damn, I've done it again. I'm such a fool. And they make it worse.
Right.
So
Look at me. I'm like,
accept
oh,
it.
it hurts my heart for
Yeah.
them. I'm like,
Well,
oh,
I mean, I've done it. We've all
we've all
done it. But
done
we
it.
don't,
I know.
because we're not taught language. We're not taught how to, the secrets of
Yes.
communication. And we're not taught about words being labels and how they can have such a big impact on us.
Tell
So
me how I can
we're
help
not
you
taught
is
to
such a
communicate.
beautiful. I love
Yeah,
it.
I mean, it's such a simple example, but think about it. How many times we're doing this every single day of our lives? What are we programming? We're programming that negativity all the time. And it's no wonder we don't have potential, because we don't see it, because we've programmed it out of ourselves. So once we become aware, we can open up all these possibilities. And then we can say, okay, now this is so beautiful now. And you've got this expansive view. And then we can work and decide what it is people are really called to do and how they can do it, what they need to do, what pathway to choose.
Yes.
And
Oh, I love
that's
that.
really breaking through the BS, because all these little things are the BS.
Right. And so now you live in China now, and so when you work, I'm guessing that you work globally,
Yeah,
and
I
that people
work through the Zoom or through
through
a phone call
through
or
stuff.
whatever.
And so people now will, in the show notes, I'll have all your contact information, your LinkedIn page anyways.
That is my major contact at the moment.
That's the major contact. Okay.
I'm in the process of redoing some websites. So
right. Yes.
the best ways to hit me is either through an email or through my LinkedIn profile.
Okay, I'll make sure I have your email on there too. Well, I've got it. What am I saying? Yeah, so I'll make sure that I have that too, because I'm just thinking, if you're listening right now and you're thinking, oh my gosh, that guy's awesome. I would like to have some time with him. You can do that. You can contact Stuart. You can contact him through his email, or you can contact him through LinkedIn, and you can have one of these beautiful conversations. And I guarantee you, I feel honestly, just chatting with you, you have such a wonderful way about you. I feel, I don't know, like I do sound baths and meditation and creative play with people. I feel like I've just done that for 2 hours or something. That's how calm I feel right now. It's really lovely.
It's wonderful, and I go away changed from the conversations as well, because they're just such wonderful things. So we're both blessed by that
Yes,
interchange that
yes.
we have, and that's so beautiful. It's not a one-way thing. It's meaningful.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, and I do know that. I'm just thinking that uh it's such a very organic, natural, lovely way. And I feel like I've picked up things from our conversation that going forward I'll be remembering them,
Well,
especially when I'm in
that's the
this
whole
new
point.
program.
Yeah, that's the whole point of the conversation, isn't it? That
Yes.
we're both enriched and we both come away with these different insights. And sometimes those insights take a little time to process, but at the right time, they will come forward.
Yes.
And that's the beauty of having conversations with interesting people.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Stuart,
The other thing I'd like to mention quickly is at
yes,
the end of
yes.
August, I've got a workshop with a lady in South Africa, a lady called Janine Shapiro. And we're
Okay.
going to put on a workshop about how gratitude heals and steals. So, yeah, I'll give you the link for that afterwards, but, I'd invite the listeners if they
Absolutely.
want to have an interesting
I
insight into how gratitude is not always what we think it is.
Yes. Well, I love that. And it's why I started my Mahalo Monday. It's all
Mhm,
about gratitude.
mhm.
I would love to, is that going to be through Zoom? Can people
Yeah, well, they can register,
virtually
get through
attend?
Zoom. It'll be live. Yeah, it'll be live, and it will be recorded,
No,
obviously. But
no, you expect everyone to come to Africa.
yeah, well, the thing is, I'm in China, she's in Africa, and you're in Canada. But we can all join. It's so
Yes.
beautiful.
It is so beautiful. I love it.
Mhm.
I'm
And
definitely very interested in that. Anything on gratitude. I've been
mhm,
studying it. I've taken some course of it. Like I've just been so my heart has been filled with it into overflow, and it goes into every pore of the being,
mhm,
and then it just starts to all of a sudden I feel like I'm floating, and
mhm,
I realize there isn't anything that matters as much as this moment, and being grateful,
mhm.
and all that we're
Yeah.
surrounded, that we're so blessed. And
Mhm.
yeah, anyway, so that's awesome. I'm gonna
Yeah.
definitely share that information with the
Yeah,
listeners
I'll give you
too.
that. I'll give you the link. But there's a question I have, about your program. You just said Mahalo Mondays or something like that.
Yes.
Where does that word come from?
Oh, mahalo is Hawaiian, and
Okay.
it means thank you. And
Okay, it's interesting because when I was in South Africa, there was a gentleman I got to know, and he was an amazing person. But he had a conservation farm, if you like, a rehab center. That's the word I was looking for, and it was in the Eastern Transvaal area of South Africa, Mahalo Hollow.
oh, so it would
And
be very much like a thankful hollow, if unless they're
it's a rescue center where he helped wild animals that have been injured in road traffic accidents and things like that.
oh,
And
how beautiful.
I mean, I can tell you stories about him. I mean, he was a phenomenal
Oh,
person.
I
But
think
just
I
what?
sure hope we'll do this again, because
Yeah.
I mean, I could sit and talk to you forever. I love that. Well, the mahalo part for me is that we, we have our very, very dear friend is Hawaiian.
Hmm.
We have,
Hmm.
and she lives in Canada. And
Hmm.
we have friends in Hawaii. We love, we feel this connection to Hawaii.
Yeah.
And, and, our hearts are
I
certainly
was
with
just curious about
Hawaiians right
the
now.
sounds, the name, because there seems to be some sort of synergy between it. And
Yes.
I must look up that word. I'm not sure if it's a Zulu word or a Shangaan word. I have to
Yes,
look up the word and
if there
find out
is
what it
another one,
means.
it's
Yeah,
interesting that, but
I'll
mahalo.
do a bit of research on that and let you know. But I mean,
Oh, I would love to hear
he
about it.
was obviously practicing gratitude and things like that because he'd rehab wild animals and so if they could be, he'd release them into the world, the
Oh,
wilds and things like that. And there's some beautiful stories. I mean,
what
he
a
was a
beautiful, beautiful
phenomenal
thing.
person. I learned a lot from him.
Oh, that's, yeah, that's, I'm mahalo hollow. I'm gonna look at me. I'm gonna
Yeah.
look that up now too. I'm
I'll find the website for you. I'll give it to you. It's still in existence. I'm not sure whether he is still around because
right,
this was 20 years ago. He may have
right.
passed on by now, but it's still there, and I think it's run by his family. So But it is, the work is so special, and that means a lot to me.
Yes.
You know, African wildlife means a lot to me.
Beautiful. I'm going to look it up, and I'm also going to look up. You can look all yours up too, but I'm still going to be looking up all the other languages that use mahalo and what exactly it means. My guess is that they're
there's not
intertwined.
that connection for no reason, is there?
No, there never is. There never is. It just doesn't seem to me. It's the human just beings, the whole planet. It would be as silly to think that something I did to my leg wouldn't affect my arm, wouldn't affect my head. Like we're just connected, and my body is connected, and we are around the whole globe. We're connected, and so it's thank you so much, Stuart.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for being here and being you, because without you, I can't talk.
I'm really grateful, and I appreciate you, and I feel honored to spend some time with you. You are a unique and lovely person, and
well, thank you for that. It's nice that you think that.
I'm looking forward to getting to know you more. So take good care, and thank you so much. And for our listeners, thank you so much for being with us today. And I will have in the show notes how to get a hold of Stuart, how to find out about well, maybe even a little bit on Mahalo Halo. I'm not sure about if I'll have that yet, but definitely at the end of August there will be the gratitude, whatever
How
that
gratitude heals and steals.
There heals and steel.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So we'll be that, and I'll probably actually even share that before, because I'm not sure that this will have aired by then, and so I'll make sure I share it before too, so that we can get that out there.
There will be a recording of it, so that's one thing. But you know, it's really an honor to be here, and I do apologize for overrunning the time a little bit. I see it.
My goodness, no, it's wonderful. I'm just trying to be mindful of everybody else's time too. I'm just like, because I could see that. I just hope that sometime you'll come back and be a guest again, because you have so much to share.
It's a beautiful conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
And you do as well. So I mean, it's you know, we're sharing stories of our journeys and things that we've experienced, and that's what real meaningful conversations are about, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's no agenda apart from to explore.
Yeah. Well, I've really enjoyed exploring with you. So Stuart, thank you so very much. And to our listeners, thank you. And do remember to find your joy. Sally, bye for now. Thanks so much for joining me today. If you found a piece of your joy in this episode, I would love to hear about what came up for you, so that we can continue to grow the impact of this show. Thanks again. See you soon. And remember, find your joy.